All right, we're on to the South bracket now, and in the South, North Carolina is the one seed, and I look for South Carolina to run the table for the most part in the South. Um, Justin Jackson averaging 18 points a game, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. He's a junior, and he's number 44 out of Tomball, Texas. Shout out. Um, uh, Then went 27-7 on the year. Justin Jackson got ACC Player of the Year. Joel Berry, very good point guard, very good engine. 15 points a game, 3 points, three rebounds, 4 assists. He's a junior. Isaiah Hicks, awesome rebounder. He's a senior. Kennedy Meeks, another awesome rebounder. Hicks's numbers are 12-6, and Meeks' numbers is 13-9. Both these guys are the guys I was talking about that are just awesome on the glass. They really just get it done on the glass. It that they really handle shit. I know they're seniors and they may not end up being like awesome NBA players, but they they're key cogs in this North Carolina team. Theo Pinson, 6'5" and 4" is his numbers. Pretty solid numbers. He didn't score a lot of points, but he's pretty solid across the board. Tony Bradley's a freshman that comes off the bench. Is another big man. He averages 7 and 5. Nate Britt is a senior guard. I would think he'd be better than he is, but he's kind of overshadowed by Barry, and he kind of just passes a lot. He averages 5 points a game though. Kenny Williams is someone that got hurt early in the year, so they don't have him anymore. He was averaging 6 points a game. He's a sophomore, and then Luke May. He averages 5 and 4. He's a guy that could honestly have a good game in the tournament. He comes off the bench, um, white boy. And so the matchup that they would have to play against would be Arkansas and Seton Hall after they win their first matchup. Um, and so let's talk about Arkansas first. Arkansas is a team that's they got like third or fourth, third in the SEC. They played in the SEC championship. Um, so they're coming off, going all the way to the championship game of that. 25-9 on the year. Dylan Macon is a transfer, and he's one of their better players on the year. He averages 13 points a game. Moses Kingley was their best player last year. He's a senior this year. He's only averaging 12 and 8. I mean, that's not terrible, but it's not what he was doing last year. He was preseason, I think, SEC Player of the Year, and he didn't go to that. Dusty Hand is another senior. He's averaging 15 points a game. He's having an all right year. Him and the Kingsley were a lot better together last year than they are this year. Jalen Barford, I didn't realize he was averaging 13 points a game. He's pretty good. He's pretty fast. He gets going on the breaks. He can drive pretty well. Anton Beard and Manuel Watkins and Dustin Thomas all are guys that average about 6 points, and they kind of carry up the back half of the team. They're an all right team. I don't I don't see them beating Seton Hall though. I think Seton Hall matches up good against them. Angel Delgado matches up against Kingsley. He averages 15 and 13 and 2 assists. He's a junior. He's very good big man. Kadeem Carrington, 17 points a game, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. He's a junior. He's a very good engine. Desi Rodriguez, very good eraser type player. Um, he averages 16 points a game. So those three guys average a lot of points a game for them. And then he averages 5 rebounds and 2 assists, all juniors also. And then Miles Powell averages 10 points a game and 2 rebounds, or maybe 2 assists. He's a freshman. He's actually a very good shooter. If you watch the Big East tournament, he has some good games in the Big East tournament. He's had good games before that, not just saying from then. Madison Jones is a senior. He's a good passer. He's a good defender. Averages 6 points a game, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. Michael Nizel averages 4 points, 4 rebounds, and then Sonogo, Ishmael Sonogo is been hurt as of lately. I don't know what's necessarily going on with him. I don't know if he's playing in the tournament or not. I don't really remember him playing in the Big East tournament, but he averages 3 points and 6 rebounds. He's a big. Uh, he can play the center. He's a good player. Um, so then I'm taking Seton Hall to win. I like Seton Hall in the game. And then to me, I don't know. It's just I don't know. To me, it's kind of a no-brainer. I think Seton Hall is a better team than Arkansas. Um, I think Arkansas got kind of a high 8 seed. I had them as a 10. Seton Hall had them as a 9 though, so I agree with it. So now let's talk about Minnesota. Now Minnesota is a team that is one of those teams I was real high on going in, to the Big Ten tournament, and I really liked them. I really like Nate Mason. He's one of my favorite engines. Um, and then Amir Coffey, and he averages 16 points a game, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Nate Mason is a very good point guard. Um, Hopefully he gets recognized at the next level. Um, Amir Coffey is a freshman, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He's a good freshman. He can drive in the lane, get to the basket, fast break. Jordan Murphy averages 11 points, 9 rebounds. His numbers are a lot better than that as of lately. He's a very good player. I think his numbers are going to be good in the tournament too. He's got a big matchup against Reggie Upshaw this week, or in the game and on Thursday. We'll see how he does. Dupree McBriar is going to have to really step up. He's averaging 11 points a game this year. But Akeem Springs has been starting, and since Akeem Springs is starting, they've been winning. And now Akeem Springs is out with the Achilles injury, I think, so I don't think he'll be playing. He's averaging 10 points a game, 10 points they don't have. Reggie Lynch is a beast down low. He should get a lot of blocks. Now, Middle Tennessee is a big team, but I'm thinking Reggie Lynch can get some blocks. Eric Curry should play some more. He averages 5 rebounds a game, 5 points. He's a freshman. But I think the Akeem Springs injury is going to be very detrimental to Minnesota. I think also the fact that Middle Tennessee got a 12 seed. I think they should have got an 11. They should have got a little bit of a better seed. They're a 30-4 team. They won their conference, Conference USA. So when you talk about them, you talk about Reggie Upshaw. Okay, so this team beat Michigan State in the tournament last year. Really fucked a lot of people's brackets up. But they're big, so they got a big three. Big three. Reggie Upshaw. He's a senior. These guys are all seniors. Remember that, all seniors. Reggie Upshaw averages 14 points, 6 rebounds. Ja'Cory Williams is the guy that wasn't as good in the past, but he's the most improved. Both these guys are stretch fours. They can step out and shoot threes. They're rebounders. He averages 17 points a game, 7 rebounds. Giddy Potts is a very good defender. He can play point guard at times. He averages 15 points and 5 rebounds. Tyreek Dixon is a freshman that they have that starts, 5 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He's a scrappy little point guard. Hopefully he doesn't turn the ball over too much. But those 3 guys are key guys. I really do look at this as a big upset. I think Middle Tennessee can win this game. And I picked Middle Tennessee to win. Even though I really do like Minnesota. Minnesota is one of my favorite teams. Honestly, going into the tournament. And then you talk about. Sorry, I was doing something. So then the next one would be Butler and Winthrop. Winthrop is kind of scary. I like Winthrop, honestly. They have Keon, I think his name is Keon Johnson. Keon Johnson, he averages 22 points a game, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He's a senior. Xavier Cook, 16 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. He's a junior. These are the best two players, 26 and 6 on the year. And then, Andrus Broman, Roderick Perkins, and our two other guys that average 8 and 7 points respectively. But Keon Johnson and Xavier Cooks are two of the better players for Winthrop. Keon Johnson's a tiny little guy. Butler doesn't have very big guards either, though, so I think they can handle them. Butler's one of those teams that they're not on, they're not going to be on. They got as high as they see, a high seed as they did because of their resume. I don't think they're a real 4 seed. Keelan Martin, he averages like 16 points a game. Like I said earlier in the year, he already either has 20 or he has 5. He has 6 rebounds a game. He's 6'7". He's an NBA prospect. He needs to have a good game to help that out, but he's a junior. He can't come back next year. Andrew Shrabish is a very good passing big man out of the post, 11 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Keith Savage, 8 points. He's the transfer from George Washington. He's the better point guard, 8 rebounds, or 8 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Tyler Weidman, 8 points, 5 rebounds. Kamar Baldwin, 10 points, 4 rebounds. He's a freshman. That's pretty good. Avery Woodson, 9 points, 3 rebounds. He's a senior. And then Tyler Lewis is another guard that they have, and he averages 4 assists and 6 points. And Nate Fowler, 5 points, 2 rebounds. And he comes off the bench also when they have some foul trouble. But I think I'm picking Winthrop, another 13 seed. I'm picking Winthrop to win this one. Sometimes I look at Butler as a mid-major, because they used to be mid-major. So that's even more of a reason that I like picking Winthrop. But I'm gonna pick Winthrop to win this one. So we got Winthrop versus Middle Tennessee in the next round. And then let's see here. And then then you got, let me see here. Then you got Cincinnati. First, I predicted Wake Forest earlier to beat Kansas State. So you talk about Wake Forest, or I'm talking about Cincinnati first. Cincinnati has Troy Copain. He's their engine. He averages 10 points a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 29 and 5 on the year. Gary Clark, their best defender, lockdown defender, 11 points, 8 rebounds. Kyle Washington, transfer from NC State, probably the best transfer I can think of, or most impactful transfer, maybe other than Ojale. He averages 13 points and 7 rebounds a game. Jacob Evans is their best scorer. He averages 14 points a game, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Kevin Johnson, another good defender, 8 rebounds, 8 points, 2 rebounds. I don't know why I keep doing that shit. Jaron Cumberland, 8 points. He's one of those guys as a freshman. He has big games, games where he don't really play a lot. I could see him having a big tournament. Jaron Cumberland. Then you talk about Wake Forest. I already kind of talked about Wake Forest in my other video. If you didn't watch that video, in my East video, because they're talking about the playing game. You talk about John Collins. John Collins is one of my favorite players. 19 and 10. Brian Crawford, 16 points. He's a really good guard. He really pushes it well. 16 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Keyshawn Woods, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. All these guys are sophomores. Very young team. And then, Austin Arians is a senior. He's a three-point shooter. Mitchell is a three-point shooter. They average 8 and 9. And then Mitchell averages 6 rebounds a game. Like I said, Mitchell Wilbekin doesn't really play that much anymore, but has been averaging 7 on the year. Durham Moore is someone that comes off the bench when Collins gets in foul trouble. He's a sophomore, and then Brandon Childress is their freshman, coach's son, one of the coach's sons, and then he averages 7 a game. He kind of throws up some trash shots sometimes, but I look at him as he's going to be a good player. Um, but I look at Cincinnati as winning this game. I look at it as going to be a close game. But I think they're going to play good defense, and I think Cincinnati can win this game. I like Cincinnati. So then you go to UCLA and Kent State. UCLA is my favorite team. Maybe not my favorite to win the tournament, but they're my favorite team to watch. Lonzo Ball is probably my favorite player. I get the most excited when he does some crazy shit. 29-4 on the year. He averages 15 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. That's ridiculous numbers for a freshman. That's awesome. TJ Leaf averages 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists. He's a freshman too. He's an awesome freshman that nobody talks about, but I like him a lot too. I talked about him earlier in my videos. Thomas Welsh, a guy that's a mismatch. He can step out and hit kind of like 18-foot shots. He can hit shots from the elbows. He gets offensive boards. He almost averages a double-double, 11 points, 9 rebounds. He's a very underrated player. Isaac Hamilton and Bryce Alford, very good three-point shooters, both seniors. They need to have good tournaments. They need to lead these teams well. I've noticed in big games, Lonzo Ball hasn't played that well. And so I don't know how he's going to play in the tournament. We'll see. Hopefully he balls out. But, I think Isaac Hamilton and Bryce Alford need to have huge games. All these guys average a lot of points. Alfred averages 16 points. Hamilton averages 14. And, Aaron Holiday off the bench. Aaron Holiday is a sophomore off the bench. He averages 13 points a game. Drew Holiday's little brother. I think he can have a big tournament too. I like them to beat Kent State. I think Kent State has a guy named Jimmy Hall. He's a big man who's good. I like him. He's a good player. He's gonna mismatch. I think he's gonna be a mismatch inside for them. I think they're gonna put Jalen Walker on Lonzo Ball. He's a pretty athletic guard. He had like a career high in the MAC championship game. He had like a lot. He had like over 30 over Curry. And then Jimmy Hall averages 18 and 10, senior. And then Jalen Walker averages 15 and 4. He's a sophomore guard. Edwin averages 13 and 5. But those are their 3 bigs. But Jalen Walker and Jimmy Hall are their guys that just really get it done. That just really are going to be keys in that. But I'm taking UCLA. Okay, so let's talk about Kentucky. The resume was good. I talked earlier in the year. I didn't think they were going to go that deep in the tournament in one of my first videos. But they kind of have they don't have that bad of a path. It's all about who you get and stuff like that. Malik Monk, I feel like, has kind of came back to earth a bit. He's not playing as balls out as he is, and he's kind of somewhat inconsistent. I think people have noticed that sometimes he has big games, but sometimes he doesn't have. Sometimes he doesn't have big games. So we'll see how he plays in the tournament. Hopefully, he has some good games in the tournament. If Coach Cal can get him going early, it'll be good. He averaged 21 on the year, 3 rebounds, 2 assists though. De'Aaron Fox will get it going. De'Aaron Fox creates it himself. He creates the offense for himself. They talk about Lonzo Ball being like Russell Westbrook. I like to say De'Aaron Fox is similar to Russell Westbrook, the way he gets up and down the floor. 16 points a game, 4 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Sonic, as I like to call him, because of his hair. I think you know, I think they're not going to have any issues in the first 2 rounds. I think these, and then Bam Adebayo is very good rebounder, 13 points, 8 rebounds. Isaiah Briscoe, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He's a guy that kind of takes a backseat to these other guys, lets them score points, kind of passes to them, lets them do more. But he's a good player, and I think there's going to be a tournament game where he has to show up, he has to come to play, and I think he'll show up. Gabriel William, he's one of the freshmen that's not as good, but he averages 5 points, 5 rebounds. But then Derek Willis comes off the bench. He's a good 3-point shooter, stretch big, 7 points a game, 5 rebounds. Michael Mulder's a senior. He didn't really play that much. He played some when I think Fox wasn't playing for a while. And then Dimitri Hawkins is another guy that plays, both seniors, that Coach Cal trusts. Coach Cal likes them. It's really funny to see seniors. Derek Willis is a senior too, but those 3 seniors are three guys that kind of come off the bench and play some if they're dealing with foul trouble. And they're not. It's funny, they're not great, but they're not bad players. Derek Willis is probably the best one of them. Okay, so then one of my favorite matchups, I think the 7-10s and the 8-9s are my favorite matchups. The 8-9s, they're kind of more dull matchups because they're teams that they're good games, but it's not exciting because they're going to be playing a 1, so they're going to lose. But like the 7-10s, it's exciting because it's like not that they could potentially win, but like I don't know, they're just really good this year. My 2 favorite ones are Dayton, Wichita State, with the one I'm about to talk about now, and my other one was SMU, or not SMU, St. Mary's VCU. I think those are going to be really good games. So Dayton, I didn't watch a lot of Wichita State this year. I know about Wichita State. I watched a couple of games of theirs. Marcus McDuffie, a sophomore, number 32. He averages 11 points a game. This is a very balanced team. They use a lot of their players, or like 6 or 7 players, and he's their most athletic driver type. I really don't think this is Wichita State's year. I think they're a young team. They don't have one senior on the team, all juniors. They're all going to come back for their senior year next year. I think next year is a year that they could make a run or something like that. But Marcus McDuffie, he's a sophomore. Landry Shamel, he averages 11, 2, and 3. He's a freshman. He's a guard. He's pretty good. Daryl Willis, a junior, he averages 10 points and 5. Shaq Morris, I've talked about how Shaq Morris came off the bench, started to start instead of coming off the bench. Things have completely changed for them. So he's a big that's good. And he averages 9 and 4 a game. Connor Frankamp, he's a 3-point shooter. He averages 9 a game. And then Zach Brown, he averages 7 points a game. So this is a good team. But I like Dayton in the game. Dayton, see the difference between these two teams, and you notice Dayton has the seniors, and Dayton is poised to make a run this year. Kentucky Dayton, that's a game that you might watch out for. So Suchi Smith, one of the best names in college basketball, 24-7 on the year. He's a senior point guard. 13 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Very good engine. Just a very, very different type of engine. I love the way he plays. Charles Cook is another guy that is a very good player. He's a guard, maybe a small forward. He averages 16 points a game. He's their best scorer, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. He's a senior. Kenneth Pollard, another senior guy that's been there forever, just like Suchi Smith. Cook was a transfer from like 2 years ago. Pollard averages 14 points, 5 rebounds. Xavier Williams is a sophomore. He's had some big games. He averages 8 points a game, 5 rebounds. He's a guy that could have some good good big threes in the tournament. Kyle Davis. Kyle Davis. He's a player that has always been on this team. He's a senior. 8 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He's averaging. Daryl Davis, another guy on the team, and then Josh Cunningham. And then they have a couple of big guys that kind of come in off the bench. But I like Dayton to win that game. I think Dayton also could upset Kentucky in the second round, but I'm picking Kentucky to win in the second round against Dayton. I'm taking UCLA to beat Cincinnati. I think it'll be a very good game, but I'll take UCLA. I'm taking Middle. I took Winthrop over Butler. I took Middle Tennessee over Minnesota. So another 13-12 matchup. I'm taking Middle Tennessee to beat Winthrop. And then I'm taking North Carolina to beat Seton Hall. I think that's when the Cinderella will end. For Middle Tennessee, I've got North Carolina winning. I've got UCLA beating Kentucky again. They beat them early in the year. I've got North Carolina beating UCLA to play Louisville in the Final Four. And then my Final Four, Louisville versus North Carolina. I have North Carolina beating Louisville. And then I have Arizona beating Duke in the Final Four. And I have North Carolina winning the national championship 79-72 as my final score, because you got to pick a final score on ESPN.com. But that, North Carolina versus Arizona is my final, and my final 4 teams is going to be Arizona versus Duke and Louisville versus North Carolina. My favorite games for these next 2 days, like I said, St. Mary's, VCU, Wisconsin, Virginia Tech, Virginia, UNC Wilmington. That's going to be a good game. Florida, East Tennessee State, Providence, USC. The winner of that, whoever plays SMU. Baylor, New Mexico State. Don't sleep on this game. South Carolina, Marquette will be good. Go ahead and watch Gonzaga, South Dakota. You probably hadn't watched Gonzaga a lot this year. You get an idea of Gonzaga, and then you get to watch Mike Daum. That's not a bad game to watch. Northwestern, Vanderbilt, 2 teams that the coaches' sons, as they called it. That'll be a fun game to watch. Notre Dame, Princeton. Ivy League schools are always pretty good. They don't turn the ball over a lot. West Virginia, Bucknell. I've seen Bucknell upset teams in the past. If West Virginia's offense doesn't play well, that's a tough game. So West Virginia is another team to watch, but I picked them to win. Xavier, Maryland. St. Mary's, VCU. Like I said, that's going to be a really fun game. Miami, Michigan State should be a really good game. I'm sure Bridges will have a couple huge dunks. Iowa State, Nevada will be a good game. I think his name is Marcus Mitchell, or no, Marcus, let me find it. I want to know his name. Marcus Marshall versus Monte Morris is going to be a badass matchup. Let me tell you right now. Great point guard matchup right there. Purdue, Vermont. Vermont's very sound, but I think Purdue will handle that. Rhode Island, let's see what type of run Rhode Island can make. Oregon, Rhode Island in the second round will be a great game. Michigan, Louisville in the second round will be a good game. Michigan, Oklahoma State, 2 teams that are better than they're seeded, going hot into the tournament. I like this game. I think Michigan will win though. Seton Hall, Arkansas should be a good game. I like Seton Hall though. Middle Tennessee, Minnesota. Regardless of what happens in this game, don't sleep. Middle Tennessee is going to give them a good game. Winthrop, Butler. Don't sleep on Winthrop. Don't feel bad if you're picking Butler. I wanted to pick Butler, but I went ahead and went with Winthrop. Cincinnati, Wake Forest, or Kansas State. I'm taking the 6th seed either ways on both those. And then UCLA, I'm high on UCLA. If you got UCLA winning the national championship, I commend you. You got balls. And then Dayton, Wichita State. I think Dayton, Wichita State will be game of the tournament. Well, not game of the tournament, game of the first round. That one in St. Mary's, VC are my top games of the tournament. And my for sure upsets that I really think will happen are Middle Tennessee versus Minnesota. And my other for sure upset that I think is going to happen is UNC Wilmington versus Virginia. And I think that I think it's going to be a great tournament. I think there's going to be a lot of compelling first round games, and hopefully I'm not wrong on a lot of this shit. Hopefully I look good.